this the day you get fired? I'm not even heard you.
No, you were on mute. Go ahead now.
I like the way she gives me a heads up.
You make great chairs. You should stay forever.
I can't. This is my. I have to.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Clearly, no, I am, yes, done as chair, but I have not done this in meeting.
Good morning. It is 9 a.m. We are broadcasting live to YouTube. And Doug, you have the floor.
Thank you. Welcome on this happy sunny Monday. You betcha. Got a joint meeting of our Coos County Area Transportation District CCAT Board of Directors with our other Board of Directors. Could we have a roll call, please, for a quorum?
Certainly. Board of Directors, Doug Vesey.
Present.
Tara Johnson.
Present.
Fred Baker.
Present.
And Shira Nelson.
Present.
And Shelley Mason Long. Shelley, can you hear me? I see you online.
Thank you.
Shelley, we'll come back to you. Melissa Dovenspike.
Present. Present.
And Mike Clausen.
Here.
And it looks like Shelley's went off and will be coming back in. So I'll proceed with calling the roll of the advisory committee. Lauren Morris.
Here.
Mike Merchant. Garrett Sherrill. Steve Zeller.
Present.
Lindsay Ward.
Here.
And Harper Thompson.
Here.
Oh, Melissa, sorry about that. For whatever reason, I couldn't take it off of mute, so I just had to rejoin, and it works now.
Thank you, Shelley. Welcome. And then we also have with us today Michelle McIntyre, and we'll be discussing under the advisory committee appointments, her appointment. Welcome.
Okay. Oh,
And then we have Jane Stebbins. Good morning. And Selena Kelly Urban. And that is everyone. Thank you.
communication person.
Oh, I'm sorry, David Rupkovas. Thank you.
It's all right. We weren't communicating.
Under
It's easy, easy Canadian joke there. And do we have any changes to the agenda?
new business, we will be discussing our zero emission fleet transition plan.
Thank you. Excellent. Citizens' comments on agenda items. Do we have any citizens out there that want to share their 3 minutes of fame? Any other persons like to chime in while you got the opportunity? Thank you, citizens. Consent agenda. We've got consent agenda in front of us. Vote on it, and then you want to talk about any of them, we can. Could I get a motion from the floor to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I move to accept it.
I'll second it.
It's been moved in second. So any of the documents, minutes, financials, ridership reports, anyone have any questions or comments about those fine documents? Okay, let's vote on that. All in favor of consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Consent on. Old business. Advisory board appointment. Do you want to give us the brief on that, Melissa?
Certainly. Just as a reminder to everyone, the advisory committee basically provides us community input on the decisions that we make with respect to services, priorities for funding. And we are pleased to have received an application from Michelle McIntyre, who has joined us today. She has noted on her application that she is representing nonprofit entities that provide public transportation, transit users dependent on transit for daily activities, low-income individuals, social equity advocates, and major destinations for users of public transit.
Excellent. Do we have any, could we do a motion from the floor?
I move to accept Michelle to the advisory committee.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second to accept Michelle McIntyre. Questions or comments? You guys have any comments? You want to drill her? Just kidding. All those in favor of Michelle, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Thank you, Michelle. We look forward to your service. New business. Got some excitement here. Zero emissions, not to be confused with emotions. So,
Zero.
I know, neither do I. So Melissa's got it, she had to do some fancy paperwork in order to apply for a grant that we apply for. You want to give us a lowdown? It's in section 5 or 4 of your four of your handout packet.
Thank
Go ahead,
you.
Melissa.
So it came to my attention on Friday that, and this will be a case more often, that many grants that we're applying for will require us to append a zero emission fleet transition plan. And so, because we want to take every opportunity of resources coming into the district, I have now drafted our zero emission fleet transition plan. You can imagine these plans will need to be reviewed periodically as technology changes very frequently, and as infrastructure emerges in our area and is developed. So this is what I will describe as our initial zero emission fleet transition plan. So the first section is generally an overview then of our agency and our services. And then we get into the required plan components, the first one being our long-term fleet management plan. And the important aspect of this section is that the district plans to replace vehicles as they meet or exceed their useful life with like zero emission vehicles as more cutaway options and funding opportunities are available. So the key components there are, we're not going to go out, make a whole bunch of purchases. We're going to wait and we're going to roll our fleet as they age out to zero emission vehicles, with the caveat as those equivalent vehicles become available, right? Because right now, for example, we had submitted a grant application for cutaways in the past for hybrid. Well, guess what? Then hybrids were no longer, we got the funds to buy hybrids, but now hybrids aren't available. So, you know, this market of zero emission vehicles is going to continue to change really quickly. And so we will make, as our vehicles age out, we will make the best purchases of those options available that are supported by our funds and our infrastructure. Any questions on that piece?
No, it's understandable that we tried before and they weren't available. Even if we had the money, we couldn't buy something that wasn't there.
So here we have put in our list of vehicles, and you can see the useful life for many of our vehicles are 5 years or 150,000 miles. And then moving to the next section of our plan, availability of current and future resources. So you'll note that, our district is primarily funded with federal funds, 5311, 5310, 5339, and state funds, STIF. In order for us to likely roll our fleet and have the proper infrastructure, it will probably require an additional $25 million, right? Additional. So this is not a cheap endeavor. There will have to be funds from other revenue sources in addition to our current revenue sources. Okay.
Yeah. Just don't abbreviate it ZEV and say, do you know what ZEV is? And then we say, what are you talking about?
Zero emission vehicles.
I know, but
Okay.
acronyms.
Yep. So in addition to the fleet, we need to have infrastructure, right? Which means our facilities. So as you'll recall, the whole reason that I have talked about our current facility, we've outgrown it. We need additional acreage. We need acreage to park. We need acreage for alternative fueling infrastructure. We need infrastructure to maintain our vehicles, all of these things, and to expand. So infrastructure will have to grow with us as we roll to alternative fueling options. Partners. So Pacific Power, it will be one of our partners, Center for Transportation and the Environment, and Renewable Hydrogen Alliance. Those will all be partners as well as others, but specifically the federal government is interested in who our utility partners are, okay, and our alternative fueling partners are. Of course, this all has workforce impacts. So our current drivers, maintenance personnel, mechanics, those will all need to be trained up so that they can maintain our vehicles once we get them, and that we utilize them properly. And we'll also partner with SOWIB and with the community college in order for us to, and South Coast Business, to get our drivers, mechanics, and other staff properly trained up to support our new infrastructure and vehicles. Are there any questions about this plan?
More a comment than a question. I think that, that it's necessary that we do this and good. I think there's going to be some pleasant surprises along the way with the less amount of maintenance, mechanical problems with fewer moving parts without, an internal combustion engine. I think they run easier and longer than standard vehicles. And of course, the price of fuel is, in the neighborhood of half, which would be good too.
I just have a comment. I just really want to thank you, Melissa, for this last minute. I mean, this was outrageous that you got all this done and on Friday afternoon, and I really appreciate all the effort that you put into it, and Jane also for helping the effort you put into it. So thank you both.
I second that, because our work people here do an amazing job, and sometimes they feel, I don't know, it's hard and challenging, but they rise to the occasion, and that's why we've been pretty efficient for a long time, and I really appreciate that of all the people who work for our organization. With that, Could I get a resolution adopting the zero emissions fleet transportation plan?
I move
So
to
we'll-
accept. Oh, second.
Okay, we got a move in a second. Any more comments in regards to our plan? All those in favor of the plan, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Let's plan. We got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
And I'll sign. You got my signature anyway. You electronically do it yet?
We'll take care of the resolution.
I knew you did. I know you did. Okay. Any more new business? Let's move on to the general manager report.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. So I thought this would be a good time for us to touch base on how much does it cost per trip on our relative services. And for demand response or dial ride, you can imagine that those routes or trips, excuse me, per service are higher. So like in Bandon, we're running at $29.67 per trip. And in the Bay Area, it is $32.22 per trip. On our fixed route services, so that would be blue, green, red, and gold. But blue, green, and red, those are running, I think, really well, between $13.46 a trip to $17.34 a trip. The gold line, you'll recall that this is it for East Side as well as Englewood. And so twice a day, we will drive, the gold line will drive through those two neighborhoods, pick up folks, and then connect them to the red line. And so that is running at $57.08 a trip. That isn't because the service is long, it is just because it is not utilized very often. So we'll continue to market this service and make sure that folks are aware that we are going into those neighborhoods. But it is a service we'll want to watch as a board.
Let's see, where do they pick up in East Side? Did they go to the market? Or is it just on their own individual call?
Selena, can you, while I go through the other services, can you pull up that the gold line, and then I'll come back and call on
Thank
you?
you.
Yes.
Thanks. Coquille Myrtle Point. So that is currently a fixed route service that deviates for paratransit. So it's a single bus, and it goes between Coquille and Myrtle Point 4 loops in a day. And that is running at $397 a trip. And so I think this is something that we need to move on sooner than later, because that is quite expensive. And what I'll be asking the board is to, support David Rupklevis in engaging those two communities and checking in with them, seeing if they would embrace moving to microtransit or demand response service. So basically, they would call and we would provision the ride on demand, similar to what we do in Bandon. Okay. We have then our intercity routes. Florence is running at $47.84 a trip. We have Powers, which is running $41.96 a trip. We have Roseburg at $186.68 a trip. And then we have Timber, which is going between Coos Bay North Bend and Coquille Myrtle Point, and that's $57.31 a trip. So again, service for us to watch is Roseburg. You know, participation in that particular service continues to be low. But it is for individuals generally receiving essential services in Roseburg. So
in other words, if we don't increase awareness, understanding, and a need for our services, we're pricing ourselves out of the services. It's so expensive. It's almost not justifiable to take a bus someplace if it costs almost $400 on one trip. Which I hate to say that, but we need to advertise more any way we can to get these fine folks in their towns and utilize the busing, or they're gonna, unfortunately, the bus may not be there in the future, correct?
yeah, Jane, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could explain briefly what goes into making some of those so much cheaper or so much more expensive. I'm assuming it has to do with ridership, but
Yeah, it's purely it's the ridership, and in some cases it's number of miles, right? I mean, between here and Roseburg, that's quite a long throw as far as number of miles. And so, you know, it's only a couple. We do Roseburg route now Tuesdays and Wednesdays, right? And then we drive folks over, we have a layover, and then we return. But what really drives the numbers is the number of trips, is participation rate.
So we need a partnership with facilities over there that want to use our bus to get into their facilities somehow, so we can increase ridership, correct?
Yeah, so you know, in Roseburg's case, that would mean we'll continue to work with the veterans clinic over there, and again, see what we can do about increasing participation. With Coquille, I think, you know, it's exploring if the communities would be interested in moving from a fixed route service to a demand response service. And then Selena, can you review with the board the stops on the Gold Line?
Yeah. So Gold Line starts down by Mart in Coos Bay, and then it goes over by Marshfield High School, goes to DMV, Inglewood Market, over by Fred Meyer, then heads out to the Coach House, goes to the East Side School, to Human Bean, and then back to Fred Meyer for a transfer. We have most of the time there's just one rider on that route, and it's like maybe 2 days out of the week.
See, as a person who lives in East Side, I had no idea the bus went to East Side, because I haven't seen any signage that says at the market or wherever, bus available to go to Coos Bay. And if I live there and I'm on the transit board, how do you expect the average person who isn't on the transit board to know? Because we can't presume they're going to call and think they can get a ride. Because if we don't educate them, they won't know. So I think we need to if we can, have something at the stops, at least say bus is available, here's our number. So then we can increase our ridership. We will increase it if they know about it. That they won't guarantee they'll get on it, but they need to be more aware. Cause I think
So
they're not aware.
I am aware of some potential family-oriented, low-income housing beds that are going to be added to that area. And so the East Side School could see an increase at that stop. That's the closest. And I'll make sure and let people know that it does stop at East Side School because that could increase ridership with individuals that would not potentially have transportation, and knowing that the bus goes that close to that location could help them with deciding to or not to move there.
Good, Tara.
Awesome. So just as a reminder, every 2 years, we review our services and we make adjustments unless, there is a strong force that requires more immediate action. And so what I would propose is that our communications officer does outreach with Coquille and Myrtle Point now and explore feasibility of rolling to a demand response format rather than a fixed route format. And then the remaining services remain in place and we'll continue to watch and evaluate. And then when we get into our planning phase, which is late summer, early fall of 2024 for July 1, 2025, then we'll be prepared to make those types of decisions.
Is there any public service ads or anything, free ads that we can get on the radio or something and get this word out a little bit more?
I don't know about free, but there are options that are fairly inexpensive.
Most television stations will do a PSA for a nonprofit, even if it's just 15 seconds. I've done them.
I would like to see us send something to the Herald or Tokyo Sentinel about what buses are available, when they're available, and also to the city council meetings. And then by giving the city council meetings, that will actually say that'll make them have some ownership in a bus that comes in their town. Because if the town doesn't ownership the bus, something might happen down the road that there might not be a bus. So if we try to make them more accountable for the services we provide, they may be more receptive, because then they can't pull we didn't know you had a bus. When we send them the information to the city council, to the Herald, to the educational places and papers.
A thought, and I know I'm not on the board, but seems like it would be a good time from a marketing perspective also to start pushing those, because we're going to have a lot of tourists coming in who may or may not have brought a car. So if we became more visible over the summer, that would probably help Bandon, just as for example. Because it would be a bummer to lose those Coquille Myrtle Point runs, I think.
Agreed. Any other comments before Melissa winds her down? Or
Just, looking at the very expensive trip to Roseburg, is there any way we can just limit that to 1 day a week and sort of force people to that need a ride to make arrangements to do it that 1 day a week and have a better chance of having our services utilized by more people per trip.
Except that Roseburg's the VA. I think it's really
Yes.
hard to push around the doctor's appointments.
You know, right, I understand that. And that's why I think if we limit it, they'll make arrangements, the individual people with their doctors know I can't have an appointment on Friday, I have to have it on Thursday or Monday. And you know, it might make somebody's appointment have to go into another week instead of the week that they would be available, but those things can work.
So
And
I know.
they're unilateral just by us.
I know from our standpoint that we have often wanted or needed to get someone to Roseburg outside of the 2 days a week, and already find that to be challenging. So I would be reluctant to see us go to only 1 day a week. I mean, obviously I understand the cost and that may be what has to happen, but only having 1 day a week can be a challenging option, especially if somebody needs to spend the night. For whatever reason, then they don't have a way to get back. You know, they could go over on Tuesday for a late in the day appointment and spend the night and know they can come back on Wednesday. But if we're only there 1 day a week, then that takes it away. And not all doctors can see you in the window of time that the bus runs as it is. It's already a tight time frame.
And I'll tell you, as someone who actually talks to the people setting up rides, there's a lot of them that go up Tuesday and come back Wednesday. So they are doing a lot of that overnight stuff for different reasons, but most of it's to the VA hospital.
Yeah.
We just have to continue to educate the people so they know that we'll provide the service. Go over Tuesday, go over Wednesday. We can, in my mind, you can never give them too much information about our bus opportunity. If we continue to give them information, they will ride. If we don't give them the information, we're in the same boat we are right now. So just over inundate them with lots of information about opportunities to get to wherever. Melissa?
So thank you very much for the dialogue. I think that this dialogue has provided David and I some context on moving forward, and we will keep you apprised of how things go.
Excellent. Do you have any more for your general manager report?
Nope, that concludes the manager's report for this month.
Number 9, citizens' concern comments on non-agenda items. Another opportunity, citizens. Okay. We have a next meeting for the CCATD Budget Committee, April 8th at 9:30. I'd say we're on schedule. It's 9:32. Good job, everyone. We'll adjourn that meeting and then we will take a brief. If you need to take a potty break, too much information, do it. And then we'll come back and open up at 9:34. Go for it.
I'll see you guys at the next meeting, if not before, as I am rarely helpful at budget meetings.
Doug, are we ready to convene the budget committee?
Welcome everyone to our budget committee meeting. Call to order at approximately 9:36:12. Could we get a roll call of persons, please?
Director VC,
Present.
Director Johnson,
Present.
Director Baker,
Present.
Director Nelson,
Present.
Director Mason Long. Shelley? No. Director Dovenspike? Director Clausen?
Present.
Harper Thompson?
Present.
Mike Marchant?
Present.
Lauren Morris?
Here.
Steve Zeller?
Present.
Abdoulaye Dion? Coco Sutton?
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum of the budget committee.
So it looks like the first order of business is to elect a chairperson for the budget committee. Do we have any nominations?
I'll nominate Doug. Is that okay?
It's okay, yes. We have a nomination. Do we have a second? Okay. Do we have any other nominations for the chair of the budget committee? I make that it's closed since we have no other nominations. All in favor of Doug Vesey as the chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Aye. Lost by one vote. No, just kidding. Election of a secretary. Can we have a motion on the floor for a secretary?
Can I ask what the duties are of a secretary?
Basically, do you want to go, Melissa, and tell her exactly?
It's basically a name only. We'll take care of the minutes from our end.
Yeah.
I'll nominate myself for that then.
I second that.
Lauren Morrison, Lauren Morris. And we had a second in there. Do we have any other nominations for secretary? Okay, close. I have a motion for unanimous ballot for Lauren Morris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Aye.
Can't take it. Congratulations, those two persons, officers. The budget message, Melissa.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to read the budget message into the record in accordance with Oregon law as set forth in chapter 294.305 to 294.565 of the Oregon Revised Statutes. The district has prepared and hereby presents its budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The district's proposed budget focuses on continued efforts to improve the quality of public transportation services across Coos County while continuing to keep riders and employees safe. The agency's proposed day-to-day operating budget for FY 2024 is $2 million. In addition, we plan to dedicate another $2.6 million in capital investments to site a transit center and mobility hub, as well as replace older transit vehicles as new stock becomes available. Priorities for the coming year include planning and siting a transit center mobility hub, recasting Coquille-Myrtle Point 2 microtransit service characterized as technology-enabled shared on-demand transportation, recasting Bandon 2 microtransit service characterized as tech-enabled shared on-demand transportation, implementing a community engagement strategy, including travel training videos, pocket schedules, website enhancements, and a new rider's guide. Continue to evaluate the fixed commingled transit service on Saturdays in the Bay Area. This year's budget was designed to support our vision of linking people, jobs, and communities conveniently, consistently, and safely. All of our action, words, and behaviors reflect our brand promise. CCAT is going your direction. Fiscal 24-25 in review. The FY 2024-2025 budget includes total revenue of $4.6 million, up 58% from the $2.9 million budgeted for the public transportation last year. This is primarily due to several anticipated non-renewable capital grants to fund the siting of a transit center and mobility hub. The budget also includes total operating requirements of $2 million, which is up 5% compared to the annualized budget last year. Overall, staffing is budgeted for 19 full-time equivalents, with an 8% increase compared to last year's budget. Significant efforts continue to ensure a competitive wage is presented so that we can attract, train, and retain CDL drivers with passenger endorsement for the safety of our passengers. Personnel services include wages, payroll taxes, paid leave, taxable health benefit stipend, and 6% retirement benefits. Based on the Pacific CPI West, staff recommends creating a 3.5% salary pool to allocate across the staff for inflation, merit, and equity. Materials and services in the proposed budget are expected to increase by 5% compared to last year's budget. Telecommunications includes ComputerWorks IT support, DFN, and Verizon. The district plans to roll from the Verizon state contract to the AT&T state contract over the summer for better tablet connectivity on the buses. The South Coast Business Accounting and Human Resources team has taken on several more duties in the last fiscal year. Estimated 1,322 cumulative hours at year end, including the DOT drug and alcohol program, reference checks, and onboarding due to the departure of the special project specialist in June of last year. The contract for accounting and HR is estimated at $106,000, which includes a 3% cost of living increase. The South Coast Business General Manager is estimated at 1,088 billable hours by year end. The contract for general manager services is estimated at $102,000, which includes a 3% cost of living increase. Capital Project Fund. The district leverages federal and state funding with local sources to maintain and expand our capital assets. The FY 24-25 budget provides for the following major projects totaling $845,736. The $600,000 for 2 low-floor light-duty cutaway buses, $20,000 building improvements, $2,015,254 for 1 transit center mobility hub. In summary, the FY 24-25 budget will provide the resources to level up transit services in Coos County consistent with our values of convenient, consistent, and safe. The FY 24-25 budget maintains the same revenue miles and hours as the current fiscal year, but the district's travel training and public engagement efforts, the district estimates a 10% increase in ridership. We'd like to thank the Board of Directors, Budget Committee, and the district staff for the commitment they have made to the constituents of the county in continuing to improve services and being responsive to the regional needs as we move together on the cusp of a new era. The salary ranges for maintenance, we have 1 FTE, minimum hourly $16.55, maximum hourly $21.20. Driver 1, which is non-CDL, total FTE is 7, minimum hourly 17, maximum hourly $20.34. Driver 2 with a CDL, 7 total FTE, minimum hourly 19, maximum hourly $24.27. 1 scheduler, minimum hourly $19, maximum hourly $24.27. Trainer and safety officer, minimum hourly 23, maximum hourly 28.54. One communications officer, minimum hourly 21.63, maximum hourly 31.67. Operations supervisor, minimum hourly 26.28, maximum hourly 38.46. This concludes the reading of the budget message.
Okay. Comments from the public.
I'm just curious, Melissa, is how are the salary ranges determined?
So what there is a document that is published by several transit associations. One is being CTA. We also look to transit agencies across the state, particularly East Cascades. And we continue to monitor how much like local fast food places are also paying because there's only a set labor market, right? So we take into account all of those variables to come up with a competitive compensation package so that we can attract and retain drivers.
Thank you.
Has everyone had a chance to look over the documents? Any questions in regards to the budget papers?
I have a question about line 62 on shelters and signage. It says that there's proposed $8,000. None has been spent as yet. And we were just talking about how signage might be helpful, and so I was just wondering about that. Are we going to? And it says under the comments that we were going to refurbish. And so I was just wondering.
Yeah, so we have right now we have Selena, is it three shelters currently en route? There's 4 currently en route. All right, currently en route. And so yes, we're looking at refurbishing those. Some of that might happen in the current fiscal year, some of that might happen in the following fiscal year. And then we do already have signs and poles, so those don't need to be purchased. Estimated installation per pole. Again, not all of our stops require poles and signs. Some of them already exist, but it should fall within the 8,000. Keep in mind that our approved budget, once adopted, is at the materials and services level. And so we could exceed any sub line under materials and services if necessary. And we just need to be accountable as for the overall materials and services.
Yeah, we can transfer some money from one of the accounts as long as it's in
and we also have our contingency line item as well that we can move from.
That was a good question. Any other questions in regards to the budget?
Yes, I have a question.
Go for it.
On your priorities for the year, especially the tech enablement of the rural community recasting. I know that you do have several line items that you can use. For example, line 50, which is the marketing and outreach. As well as I'm assuming there may be some STIP funding for that. Given that there is some individuals that are not as well connected as you would think if we're looking at using smartphones, etc. Is there a plan for that to get that ridership to use those services? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a fantastic question. So we are currently in conversations with several vendors to institute an app, right? So that customers can, similar to Lyft or Uber, can potentially then abandon Coquille Myrtle Point, then on demand schedule a ride. And so this app, we're hoping, fingers crossed, that actually might happen this fiscal year. We are planning on doing a supplemental budget for this fiscal year to accommodate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because since we've only used 10,447, the outreach marketing. Yeah, and it's budgeted. That was an excellent question.
Mike Marchant?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate the work that you've done here. Really professionalize the budget and the management of CCAT. My question was about the transit hub, and I apologize for missing the earlier meeting. And it was really about the future of electrification, and the costs associated will be substantial. And if part of that capital expense is already anticipating the electrification and the associated costs.
Great question. So you'll see that 2 million, under the line 68, we have the transit center and mobility hub. That would then incorporate the siting a piece of property. We need to purchase a piece of property. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That is something that will need to happen. And so with that, the 2 million will get us as far as purchasing and some initial architecture and engineering designs, basically concept designs. Okay. And then it will require then another grant, and it would probably happen in the following fiscal year for then the very technical architecture and engineering as well as construction. Is that helpful?
It is. Thank you. I assume that probably the move towards zero emission electrification will require substantial further public investment.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from all involved?
I don't think Melissa's being paid enough.
I know she does like 14 jobs, I can guarantee you that, especially when they tell us to do something on Friday afternoon. And that was probably your birthday, just kidding.
Well, yeah, and I'm not being flip about that. I
She-
really don't think
no.
she's being paid enough. But that's for the board to decide, and then just off track, because we've been talking about marketing. I noticed that there's a lot of flyers that are posted at different locations, stores and wherever with QR codes. So that could be something that you guys could do too, is post that, because QR code could go straight to the schedules.
That's a good
Yeah.
point, Lauren.
And go to the future app, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All exciting
Yeah.
stuff.
Any other questions for Melissa or anyone else, or any of the documents that we've been presented?
Now, you did a great job and finding these grants. Those are not easy. Having done them, that's a lot of work. So thank you.
Without further ado, do we have a motion on the floor in regards to approve the proposed budget for the 2023-2024 period?
So moved.
Sarah, I moved to adopt the 24-25
Yeah,
budget.
24-25, that's.
I'll second.
It's moved in second. Any questions in regards to our budget? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Thank you job. Melissa, you guys did a great job of putting this together and keeping us informed. And with that note, we are done. Thank you for your service. Next meeting is on what day, Melissa?
May 13.
May 13th. Excellent. You guys have a wonderful day and stay involved.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good week.
And we may have a partial eclipse.